Hey y'all, it's TT, and today is the first day of the Trans Rights Readathon. I've been so excited for this, and the first book that I read is Felix Ever After. This is the story of a demi boy who really wants to fall in love. He's spending his senior year just trying to build his portfolio to get a scholarship to go to Brown and living life with his best friend. However, when he is the target of a transphobic display at school, he also has to figure out who is targeting him. He assumes that it might be someone that he sort of considers his enemy, but that conversation does not go the direction that he thinks it will. For the most part, I thought this was really great. It's a mostly happy story. The main character is pretty deeply flawed, but he works on those flaws throughout, and he's still a fully three-dimensional, very likable character throughout. I think he makes a lot of questionable decisions, but they're the kind of questionable decisions that I think a lot of people could remember their teenage self making. The result, though, is that we kind of watch him learn that he doesn't understand everything that everyone else is going through, and much more importantly, he learns to love and empathize with himself. I think the characters are all very likable and compelling. Well, not all likable, but the characters that should be likable are likable. And honestly, I only have one real complaint about this book, and I'm saving it for this late in the review because I have heard that it has been corrected, but I think it's worth talking about, especially since clearly the old versions of it are still in circulation, as I got this one from Libby. There are a ridiculous amount of Harry Potter references in this book. It's weird, and just the fact that we have written these Gen Z characters to be obsessed with Harry Potter feels a little off to me, even if you separate the transphobia from Harry Potter, which of course you cannot do. But even if you tried to, it's kind of cringeworthy to write characters younger than you that are obsessed with your generation's things, in my opinion. But it's a much bigger problem than that, obviously, in this context, especially as the book itself addresses TERF ideology as well as refuting the idea that you can fully separate the art from the artist. Such a weird decision to include those references on top of doing all of that. But I did read an article that said that the author asked his editor to remove that stuff for future publications back in April of 2021, so I'm sure there are versions of this book out there now that do not include that stuff. My version did, and it felt super weird to me. But I'm really grateful that the author listened and took criticism and corrected something that a lot of people felt was wrong. And I just think this was a great book. I think as a teenager, I absolutely would have loved it. I still loved it now, but I definitely recommend it for young